Susenyos II was nægusä of Ethiopia. His name at birth was Wolde Giyorgis. He was the son of a noblewoman who had lost her fortune and made her living by carrying jars of water. While it was rumored that he was the illegitimate son of the deceased ruler Iyasu II, the Scottish traveller James Bruce, who was living in the capital city of Gondar at the time, described him as a drunkard, a ruffian, and a profligate. His reign. On the 5th of June 1770, Ras Mikhail Sahul was forced to evacuate the city with Emperor Tekel. They marched to Tigray to suppress several revolts there. Gosha and Wonde entered Gondar the 10th of June, where they attempted to convince Empress Menshub to join them but failed. After waiting several days for Fasil to fulfill his promise to join them from his headquarters at Bur in Gojam, on the 27th they left Gondar. By the beginning of August, the principal inhabitants of Gondar held a council to select a new emperor, and Ras Sanuda's nomination of Susenyos, then 24 years old, was accepted. Ostensibly, Susenyos was to gather an army and march against Ras Mikhail, but the only noble who could provide enough soldiers was Fasil, who continued to temporalize over marching to Gondar until the 2nd of November, when he arrived with 400 horse and 600 foot. At his arrival, Susenyos rashly granted him a third of Ethiopia, only to find that in doing so he weakened his most loyal supporter, Ras Sanuda. This led to further disagreements between the pretender and Fasil, and despite Susenyos' attempts to make a peace between them, by the 26th of November Fasil declared his allegiance for Emperor Tekel and left Gondar for Dengelbur. Bruce had only one encounter with this ephemeral ruler. On the night of the 5th of December, in a drunken fit, Susenyos with some confederates left the imperial palace and plundered several private homes, including the house Bruce was living in at the time. Everything that could be carried away was stolen or broken, among which was a reflecting telescope, a barometer, and thermometer, a great many papers and sketches of drawings, first torn then burned. The next day Bruce was summoned to the palace, where he presented himself before Susenyos, who was sitting, his eyes half closed, red as scarlet with last night's debauch. He was apparently at that moment much in liquor, his mouth full of tobacco, squirting his spittle out of his mouth to a very great distance. With this he had so covered the floor that it was with great difficulty I could choose a clean place to kneel, and make my obeisance. J.M. Reed, in his biography, pointedly notes the sickening contrast between the chamber when Bruce waited on Emperor Tekel and the present audience. The audience with Susenyos was a trying experience for Bruce. Susenyos complained that the Scotsman had paid him no attention and demanded gifts from Bruce. Bruce reports that he made a bold reply, at which point an old man of noble appearance came forward, whom Bruce identified as Ras Sanuda, and lectured Susenyos on his behavior, reminding him Bruce is a friend, not only to the king but to us all. The whole people love him. Susenyos' only response to his advisor was to joke, "You are very angry today, Baba." His fall. Susenyos' time on the throne was all but over the 15th of December, when Ras Mikhail forded the Tekeze and swiftly closed on the capital. Ras Sanuda declared for Mikhail Sahul. Accordingly, Susenyos fled Gondar with the Empress Menshub. First she sought refuge with Susenyos bin Emfraz, only to be turned away. Then, after sending her valuables to safety on Deck Island in Lake Tana, proceeded to Kwara. Once there, writes Bruce, those who made Susenyos a king never made him a friend. Quote, It was here suggested that his presence would infallibly occasion a pursuit which might endanger the queen, her country, and all her friends. Upon this it was resolved to abandon the unworthy Susenyos to the soldiers, who stripped him naked, giving him only a rag to cover him, and a good horse, and with these they dismissed him to seek his fortune. Ras Mikhail Sahul entered the capital city on the 23rd of December, restored Tekle-Haymanot, and began a purge of his enemies whom he found in the city, beginning with the crucifixion of Abu Salama and Jermesian, the brother of Waranya. The last glimpse history has of Susenyos after the 3 battles of Sarbakus of the following year. Somehow he fell into the hands of Wondebawasan, who before leaving Gondar with Ras Mikhail Sahul as his prisoner sent the deposed pretender in chains to Emperor Tekle-Haymanot. The emperor made him a slave in the palace kitchen where, after a short time, Susenyos was caught stealing and hanged.